Wunderbar. Sylvia is here. So many. Okay. Maybe we're live, maybe we're not. We are live. All right. Well, hello. I've gotten a little feedback from somebody. I don't know if someone's mic could be, there's a dangling mic, but it's getting a little bit of reverb, little tech check moment. Well, hello, everybody. We've got so many, there's some definite reverb going on. We have got so many beautiful people in our live stream today. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing the excitement of having Miss Elsa Dillon on. So I'm Kat Udura, psychic empath, psychic wrangler, celestial medium. Welcome to Third Eye Salon, where we drop the veils of illusion in order to take a deep and fresh look at reality, the real reality. So today we're looking beyond the veils of Elsa Dillon's 5D awakening. It's what I'm calling it. That of her family of 10 as well, as they have experienced extraterrestrials, the Fey realm, Sasquatch, so much more. Time off planet that seemed to be almost in a blink of an eye. That was quite much longer. So how are these things possible? I don't know, but I want to find out. So what we're going to do now is we are going to welcome back our co-hostess with the mostest. It's my bestie, Lynda Colter-Bergh. How are you, my love? We are so happy that you're back. We have had so much love just pouring your way.
I am back, and I felt that love from everyone. You guys have really helped me through a difficult time and allowed me to walk through it with a little bit more grace than I think I could have on my own. So I love you all. I loved all the messages and the support and the energy. I felt that love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm doing really well and finding out all kinds of new things about me that I didn't know, and I'll continue that journey. What does Lynda get to be now? So, specked colored hair or something crazy next.
Yeah, like this, like the violet undertones. Wouldn't that be cool? I would love that. Violet's your color. That's definitely one of your colors.
Thinking about it. So yeah, so just I want to thank you all. And moving on from that, as you new people may not know, I'm the live stream chat host, and I have a simple policy: play nice or get out, because I just don't tolerate anything less than our beautiful love for each other. And someone has already said, hit the like button. Beat me to it. Thank you. So yes, please hit that like button, because it helps our algorithms. The sooner you put it on there, the more it gets shared. And, you know, we got to deal with all that crap out there of algorithms. So, so when you get this and we are done with this show, and you know somebody, think about somebody who really could use this and share the show with them. If you haven't subscribed, and hit it so that you get the little bell in black, because that will notify you when we go live. That will notify you when new things come up. So make sure you do that. And then check out our podcast and all of our other links that are below, because you can hear us now in a lot of different ways and see us in different ways. And if you're interested in working with any of us, the links are also below. And with that, also, you know, thank you for the donations. I want to really thank you for that. It really does help the show and helps Kat and shows him, you know, that there's some monetary feedback for all of the hard work that he's doing. And I think that's important. And if you can't, you can't. And that's okay too. Just share it. Share our show. And then if you haven't joined our Facebook group, please join our Facebook group, because we'll continue the conversation there after the show or throughout the week. And with that, welcome, Elsa. I have been watching your videos. I'm so excited to spend this time with you.
That's a crowd going wild. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. It's very excited to meet you all. It's nervous going on live. Again,
Oh,
this is not our professions, all of us. This is new. We're the volunteers, and we're speaking up to help you, not to make you feel funny, make you feel weird, just to help. So the way that you return the help to the cosmos when you receive a gift is you say thank you. And I have brought this up before on another show, but it's very important right now that you show gratitude and appreciation for the small gifts, not just for this interview, but for things throughout your day. Because I promise you, with this high energy coming through, and they knew it was coming through, that's why all the drama is happening now, it swings both ways. So if you can take yourself out of the worry and the fear of the day to day and say thank you to things. Thank you to the bird. Thank you to the sun. Thank you to the show I just watched. Thank you to this person. Thank you. 10 thank yous that you normally wouldn't say. Imagine everyone around the world doing this. The shift will be huge. And I keep saying this. This is the shift. But it won't happen. You will not receive gifts if you're not saying thank you for the gifts, because the cosmos says, oh, well, they don't need any more. They're not saying thank you for that one. They're not saying thank you for that one. They're not saying thank you for that one. Oh, they're fine. They don't need any more. So I'm saying this as a self-help treatment for yourself. So if you're feeling in a state of lack, start saying thank you for small things and see if practice it daily, practice, and see if it changes you. See if it brings you some abundance in an unusual way. And I promise you it will.
Well, I'm going to grab that piggyback and we're going to say hello to Mr. Jason too, because don't think that we've forgotten him. Oh no, there's a painting in the background. We're going to ask him about that. I want to piggyback on that because what Ganesh says to me is, you've got to be generous with yourself first. If you're being stingy with yourself, then that's going to show up in how you show up in the world. And there's a lot to be said about living from generosity. So with that, thank you, Miss Elsa. And Jason Adkins, how are you? Psychic medium, artist channeler of our ET kin. What's going on, buddy?
Happy to be here. Excited to have Lynda back. Nice to meet Elsa. And I have to ask, the white part of your background, Elsa, is there something flashing? Like, is there a light feature or something behind you?
Yeah, there's sparkles. There's like a little
because I was like, am I seeing stuff?
You are seeing stuff.
Is there a background? Because it is like just all around like little firecrackers. It's wild. So yeah, I can already feel the energy building. It's like super high. Like my legs are bouncing. So yeah, excited to be here.
You're muted, Elsa. You're muted, love.
Oh, the lights make me smile. But you comment on the legs. My legs are bouncing too. That's a good sign. So getting confirmations already.
Jason, what's this painting behind you? What's going on? I'm
been working on it for like a month. It's a portrait that I'm doing of my friend Cole and his boyfriend Chris. We were out one night and he was like, paint our picture. And I was like, okay, send me one. So I've been struggling. Like I got the picture on there. I like the pictures. Started filling it in. It's very much in the ugly phase right now, which they all go through. But it's been in the ugly phase for like a month. So the other day I was like, I put some more paint on there and I was like, I'm happy with it. Like I have an idea now. I was just stuck. We'll see. I'll show it to you when I'm finished, but you can kind of see the outline. Like there's one, there's the other. They're in like this club. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that I've almost wiped it.
No. If this is your ugly phase, then I mean your skill shows through. Like you can clearly see what you're looking to create. So where you see ugly, I see beauty.
Thank you.
There's some reverb going on. Jason, could you maybe share their earphone piece into your ear ball? Because there's something like I can hear my voice coming back, and I just don't want that to be on the recording.
I think you're the only one hearing it, Kat.
Am I? But I'm also the one recording it.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, wah, wah, I know, right?
I can hear it.
You can hear it too? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
that's why
gonna
I muted.
I'm going to sit back from the mic and I'm just going to try to project in a manly sort of way during the show, and I'll just see if we can cut that down. Okay, well, with all of that, thank you everyone for being here, and let's get this mother flippin' party started. So give us a big thumbs up if you haven't, just for any of those things. Are you happy to see Lynda? Let us know. Are you excited for Jason's new artwork? Let us know. Elsa's here. She's bringing in this huge portal with her, and all this energy is flowing through her right now. Does that excite you? It excites me. So give us a little bit of love. This is kind of it's a bio adjacent. This is kind of an overview of the Dillon family. If you're coming in, scratching your heads, wondering who's Elsa Dillon and what the fadoodle is this all about. So, family of 10 experiencers living on a farm in Byron Bay Hills, Australia. Elsa, mom of 8 children, with husband Richard Dillon. Both Elsa and Richard, international fashion photographers and videographer, shooting celebrities, magazines, and advertising, behind-the-scenes professionals for over 3 decades. Dillon's second incarnation here on Gaia. So this is only their second incarnation. They're a family of oversouls, also called in together again to incarnate in this realm. So do you want to know about that? I sure as heck do. So there's just so much, and then, yeah, anyway, we'll keep going forward so we can get into the questions. Experiences, beings, messages, oversoul connection, and happenings with a paranormal. Over 400 beings to date, many forms in multidimensional realms, sharing since last Christmas with those ready to experience. And so, yeah, this is, Elsa was saying in another interview how this is really her time of coming out and exposing the fifth dimensional nature of her relationship to herself and her life and her family as well. And so I feel like I should just toss the mic to you, Miss Elsa, and just let us know what it means that this is your second time on Gaia, and that it's in a family of oversouls. What does that mean?
So I'll just explain. I'm sure a lot of people have watched the videos, but we had to work it all out ourselves. We weren't socially connected with spiritual ones. So a lot of the terminology are our terms and phrases. We had connections with ETs and beings. We also had connections with another realm, which was Nefertiti and Akem's family, whom at the time I had no idea who they were. So we really had to work it out. Then they started showing me that our children are in the same sex and same age as those children. So I realized this was actually the whole family, which freaked me out, then freaked my family out. And then it took a long time, years, to not only prove it to myself, but prove it to the family. And I was like, why them? Why does it have to be them? Why doesn't it kind of be someone less known?
Famous, right? Right.
Yeah, because it just sounds so corny and cheesy, and they got that this is it. This is what it is. This is what you have. This is what your tools are. Stop
They can't make it different.
Otherwise, yeah.
They can't
Like,
make it different for you. It's
wishing
like,
for
oh, did you want to be an apple and you're an orange? Well, I'm sorry. It ends up you're an apple. Yeah.
Which is interesting, because I in now coming into interviews and meeting a lot of lovely people. So many people say, oh, well, when I meet ETs, I want to meet them this way. And I go, really? Oh, that's interesting. Because it doesn't happen how you control it. It's not a control. This is not a controlled situation. This is an allowing situation. So you don't get a say in it. I mean, we are all, creators. I believe that, but this thing's presented in their way, not my way. So is that my way connected to me somehow? Yes, but I didn't manifest this. I didn't wake up and say I want some Egyptian being in my life. So it didn't happen like that. And it was more the Egyptians that really probably came through, or the other realm, before all the ETs and beings. They really wanted us to ground that before the bigger stuff really started to present. And then they showed us how it's all connected. So that
was actually really gentle. I'm just tuning into that with you because it feels like that was the first shocker. If we can get them past this, and they do that with us. In my awakening experience, it's like gateway, 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 and none of it's faults, but it's like they're only going to gateway to you to a certain point so you can acclimate, and then pop, and it's like, oh, hey, and you gotta get like readjusted all over again, and then you're blessed even more, and it's like it ends up being so endless, but you really do have to acclimate in the steps in between.
Yeah, well, that's a great word, acclimate. I like that word. That might be my word for the day. Acclimate. But I always used to say calibrate, like we would calibrate where we're at. So you would learn all this new information and it would completely rattle you or rattle family members. And sometimes that was a physical or a mental. It could be either. It could make the animals around you behave differently, or your friends or people around you. It could even make your electrics work weird around you, which we've had a lot of as well. So it's not just one thing. But then you kind of get used to it. It's like you've downloaded it. It's like when you first learned to drive a car to now driving a car. It's just automatic. And yeah, so.
Yeah. I sort of hop in if I may, because I feel like the bit of transition that I feel is important is, how did you go from being normal to being Nefertiti's plasma body twin? Like because I think that for people in my awakening, which has been really accelerated in the last 3 months, like there was just a lot of things where I had to accept and let go. And I think that experiencing that as a family is so much more detailed. And so I'm just wondering, what was the journey of being like, okay, we're photographers, we're living our lives, to, okay, this isn't just happening, but we're going to have to keep accepting it's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Well, it's been a few things. We were caught up in the financial crisis of 2008. Then we were shifted up here to Byron. We literally could not find anywhere to live with our family. No one wanted a family of 7 kids then. We didn't have 8. We only had 7. I love the word only in there. Anyway, so we came up to this beautiful place where we live now. And we lived in a farmhouse thinking, wow, well, we're going to get really healthy now. Like we were healthy before, but now we're going to really step it up. Well, our kids got really ill living near we had them sleeping near a power meter box, and it started to deteriorate their health rapidly. But we didn't know back then what it was. So we were searching for illnesses. They were really sick. Like Gemma's face was out here. Her whole face was shut down on one side. She couldn't walk in public. She had screaming fits, grinding their teeth down. They wouldn't heal. Like it was not one thing. It was multiple things. And I kept asking the universe for help. So this is this interesting part about asking you shall receive. So I kept asking the universe, please help us. No one knows what's wrong with our children. And in the meantime, they kept shorting out our house with electricity. They being them, whoever they are. So our house kept getting shorted out, and we kept having the electrician come over. He's like, what is wrong with your house? And he kept saying to us, you guys are like ETs. You guys are really weird. What's wrong with your house? I've just fixed this, and now this side's going and this out. And it just kept going on for a few weeks. Anyway, one night it exploded. The whole house filled with smoke. And it was at that special time. We talk about the special time. It's just before you're about to go to sleep. Things always happen just before you're about to go to sleep, or just before you're about to wake up. We call them their magic moments. Anyway, Richard and I woke up with a bang, literally, and the house is full of smoke, and it's a little old wooden farmhouse. So we're like, this is serious. It shut down the whole region. blew up the power meter box outside, and we rang the electrician. He said, there's no way where you guys live there's going to get any help from the state electrical at this time. It's a raining night. You're not going to get anyone out there. But he was on the other phone with them saying if you can get any trucks out there. As he's on the phone to them, 3 trucks drive down our driveway. And he goes, what is with you guys? Like the electrician's going, I cannot believe they're there. And I'm going, I can't believe they're here. So they're fixing it. And even they couldn't believe that they were there. They were just driving past our driveway.
Yeah.
So this comes to the synchronicity thing. So if you're having synchronicities, this is part of it, right?
Mhm.
So they come down, and then these people are saying to us, wow, you guys must have angels looking after you, ETs. And I'm like, okay, I've had it enough. How many times do I have to be bombarded with this word angel, ET? So Richard and I couldn't sleep that night. So we Googled up angels and ETs. And then I started reading. They present through electricity. They present through glass. They present through water. I was like, I'm starting to get a funny feeling, and Richard is too. And then they told us they were going to put a smart meter on because we only had an old spinning one. So I looked up smart meters and I learned about EMF, and then I realized what's happened. I cried and I cried. We shifted up here to be healthy, and we're causing so much damage to these 2 children. So we shifted them everyone out of that room. No one went in that room for a long time. Instantly, they started healing the next day. Gemma had her first memory in months. Stopped grinding her teeth. Jet's sores on his arms started to scab over. And it was huge. Richard and I really realized then that someone was the universe was literally helping us. And within about 2 weeks, then Neff presented in a mirror session.
Oh, and tell us what a mirror session is.
Well, I call it magic mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? And everyone gets so hooked up on the whole beauty thing. It's not fairest as in fairest. It's light ones. Who's the lightest of them all?
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So mirror, mirror on the wall. But I don't say these words. I'm just in the doing my hair. Now, I am a blonde without a fringe. That's me naturally. And Richard actually colored my hair and cut my fringe after Jet, our 4th child, was born. I got postnatal depression, which I didn't believe in. And this was 10 days after his birth. And Richard couldn't break me out of it. I stopped breastfeeding. I stopped talking to the family. So Richard went, what am I going to do? This has been triggered by someone that said something on a fashion shoot to her. They called her haggard or something. You look haggard at the moment, because my hair was falling out a bit on one side. And so Richard colored my hair. I mean, what sort of man colors your hair? He's so different. He colored my hair and cut a fringe, and it snapped me out of it. But why did he do it this color? And why did he do this hairstyle? So again, he didn't know. He just did it because he wanted to help the family. He's got 4 young children, one that's not breastfeeding, one baby that won't stop crying, and this wife that's sitting there like a ghost. Anyway, so that's why I have black hair, is through that. It wasn't my hair color choice. I didn't ask for this hairstyle.
You know, this is what I see, is that this is how he remembers you and your power. Like as Nefertiti, he remembered you looking at this in your power. That's how she looks in her power. So this is what we'll bring back, so she'll remember herself.
Wow. So I have to tell you another little quick story after this, because he's just said some similar words. So I'm backtracking a lot because I'm trying to explain to the audience, nothing happens for random. Yeah. Now, when I was a little girl, I visualized myself having this hair. I'm talking 4. So I can't explain. Anyway, so Neff comes through the mirror. So I'm doing my hair. we normally wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. because all our fashion clients were overseas, and so we could communicate with them at that time. So we'd be editing, getting stuff ready for magazines. So I'm communicating. So I'm up at 3 quite normally, which we love. We call that witch hour. Again, witch hour. It's the magic seems to happen around 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. It's also a very connecting time to Gaia as well, we find. Anyway, so I'm in the mirror and I'm looking and I'm going, why do I have black hair? That's all I said. Like, I'm just laughing, doing my hair, going, why do I have black hair? I'm the black sheep in the family. Why do I have black hair? Instantly, Neff's bust comes through. And it was the only artifact. My father is Egyptian, and it's the only artifact that he had kept from Egypt that we had in our house as a child. And I instantly remember saying to my mum, who is this lady, Mum? I know her. And my mum goes, you don't know her. She's Nefertiti. I'm going, yeah, but I know her. But while I was doing this mirror work, I actually didn't remember if her name was Nefertiti or Cleopatra, just to give you some idea of my education of Egypt. I mean, I knew who they were, but they were just Egyptian goddesses. So I actually had to go and search if that was Cleopatra or Nefertiti. So
that's okay. I mean, sometimes like when they give us these clues, it's like sometimes it's in the ballpark, and then it's a thread you have to follow. It's like, you're in the right ballpark, now follow the thread because you need to unravel it for yourself and remember. And it's okay that you're in the ballpark if you didn't get it like right on spot. That's part of the journey, is uncovering it for yourself.
yeah, it's a great way of describing it. And what I see when you said that is I see the white rabbit with his clock looking back.
Yes.
Checking.
Yes.
Are you still following me? Are you still with me? Okay, let's go a bit further. You still with me? Come a bit further. So with Neff, I said to Richard about Neff, and he goes, oh, that's interesting. So everything is interesting. Richard never denies anything. He's very good. He's never dismisses anything. He says, oh, that's interesting that you remember that as a childhood. And then I remember something Eckhart Tolle said. He said he was going to shift to California. And he'd been wanting to shift to California, but he didn't have the funds, and it didn't feel right. So he wasn't sure if it was ego or his mind wanting to shift to California, or if he had a calling to shift to California. Now, I'm just rewording the story in my way. He said, so he sat with it, which I loved. So Eckhart, and he sat with it and he sat with it, and it wouldn't leave him alone. And I find that that's a really great way for a confirmation within yourself. If you're not sure who's communicating with you or where it's coming from, just sit with it for a while. Just let it literally manifest in you. If it's meant to be with you, it will just keep calling you and calling you. Like Jason's painting behind him, it's calling him to finish it. It's calling the essence of Jason to pull out the brush and do another stroke. That's the calling. So the calling can come through many things. So Neff didn't leave me alone at all. It just got more and more. And then she started showing me the family members, and I was like, but I don't want to involve the family. So here's my ego coming in again. I'm trying to say, I don't want it like that. I want it like this. I don't want it like that. So funny. I always laugh.
But it's so real. I mean, I think it's the hallmark of the experience. There's a hallmark thing of like where your ego tries to negotiate to the last little bit, and finally the ego just gives up. But like it takes everything for the ego to finally realize that it's just better to surrender.
Well, what started happening is I kept holding it in a lot. So then deterioration started in me. And the biggest one was my gums regressing to the point where they looked like my teeth were literally they were just hanging. So we believe in self-healing. So we looked into the metaphysics of it. Richard kept saying we should go take you to a dentist. And I'm like, no, I can do this. And I kept saying, you have to speak up. You're holding stuff in heart. So here I am sharing this crazy story with everyone to show you that to us, it was crazy too. But, you know, after seeing what's going on in the world the last few years, I actually like my story better than what's going on in the story. So I'm going to go with that.
I think that's utterly genius. I want to open the floor up. Mr. Jason, do you want to hop in?
Yeah, I love, there's two things that I really love about your story that you just told. One is that you finally just embraced it, right? Like I love this, my story more than what's happening in the world the past 2 years. Like, I love that you're embracing that. I also love the fact that, you know, some people, when we share these experiences, some people just give you that look like, oh my God, you are crazy. But the fact that when you're telling the story, you can recognize this could potentially be an ego thing, or this could be a real experience. And I think that if you are sound enough to even give yourself the option of, oh, well, it's A or B, but you're not just, this is absolutely happening. Like, the fact that you question it proves to me like the sanity of the experience, or like the realness of the experience. So I love the way, the angle that you're kind of coming with it. Not that there's an angle, but you know what I'm saying? Like how you're telling the story. I think it's very relatable. And I think it's easy, at least it is for me. It seems like it's very easily digested. So even if like people are just becoming aware that stuff is happening, right? Like having someone like you tell the story in the way that you're telling it, it's very first experience, open door. Like, this sounds like a valid experience. Like, this is fascinating. You can feel it. I mean, I can't be the only one. Like, my body is hyper reacting to this energy. And they're telling me, they're like, stop fighting it. And I'm like, am I? They're like, you're resisting. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm resisting. Like, I'm trying to relax my body so I'm not just seizing here on the camera. Like, it is insane the amount of energy that is just running. So I love the story. Great energy. I cannot be the only one that is just buzzing.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Jason. Yes, Lynda, give me one quick second. Lynda's in a portal. Elsa has been in a portal, and I'm in a portal with crossings overs. So we've got 3 portal people, and also we've got a portal from a comet that I felt opened up the other day. And so there's just a lot of like incredible energy coming through. But you're dealing with 3, you're in a triad, you're in a trifecta, portal trifecta with me, Elsa, and Lynda right now. So enjoy. Lynda.
Yeah. Look, I've got my little selenite. I'm like, okay, focus this energy. Let's just move it. Let's move it.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jason and thank you, Elsa, for stepping forward. And you led such a private life to then step into this public realm. I feel you, because it took Kat 10 years to get me to even say some words, much less get on the internet and talk about it. And our whole mission was to make my happy place is when I think about everyone just going, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, that was, and not have the stigma that I felt my whole life of people will think I'm crazy. What will they think of me? So that people watching the show can really embrace the experiences that they're having, and at the same time be willing to ask those questions, to go at it with a wise mind, to be able to kind of discern, is this real? And of course, I think there's some that would say everything is real, and everything is illusion. So in my experience, where does this fall? So thank you. I just wanted to give that additional feedback.
So I apologize because I was running a little bit late, because the kids count me down before I come into interviews. I'm really bad with numbers. So I always say, help me with the time so I'm not late. So they were counting me down, and I misheard the last calling. So they're literally like, it's showtime. They call me out so I can come into the interview. And I was running 10 minutes late for this. I was running 10 minutes late because of everything that you just said, Lynda. I was in the mirror having mirror talk. They said to me, responsibility. Now, they love prime origin words, but they also love dissecting words in this moment. So responsibility is response ability, our ability. So response, and then your ability, how you respond to the response, which is very important for this month coming up, because as high as the energies have been, they will intensify in the next few weeks. And we need to be responsible for our way we show up, how we're calibrated when we present to another being. So when I come into this show, I don't come in here with anger and hostility. I make sure that I've been hydrated. I make sure that I have salt and oil in my electrical body. I make sure that I've done clearings for the day, whatever they might be for you, or said thank you to the sun, or whatever these things might be for you. I have practiced before I come in. I don't come in with a dirty aura. I am responsible for how I show up, because it's my response and ability. I own this ship. I am ownership of this soul here on earth. So I own this ship. And those were the words that came through me in the mirror before. And now Lynda has just said the same thing. Then the first thing we talk about is this beautiful drawing behind Jason. And you've just talked about portholes. I'm getting messages from the beings behind you that they're trying to touch your shoulder. They're blue beings. They're trying to touch your shoulder. And I see 2 realms, 2 beings, 2 portholes, and 2 pillars on the left wall. So again, nothing's random. I feel like Jason has these beings trying to touch him on the shoulder. Now, when our daughter draws, Gigi, she'll draw paintings, and Jason might relate to this. She'll draw a painting, and I take pictures along the way, because it takes her a few days to draw some of these beings that download to her, but they shape shift. So they come up as like a Indian, and then they'll come up like, and then they change outfit, and then their heads get longer, or they change color, or their pupils get like their eyes go more like this, or their hands come up, or they start getting light language through. So they shape shift all the way through. And I'm just wondering if that happens with your paintings, Jason, because they're telling a message along the way. It's a story.
Yeah, it's the I mean, you just described the process, right? Like it's the process. Like it's wild how some of them end up completely different than what the original thought was, and then some of them never change. Like they're different energies. Yeah, but it's crazy. I think it's more of a fine tuning, because they're not physically standing in front of me, right? They're not posing. So I always call it like a police sketch, like an emotional or an energetic police sketch, because that's what it is. The energy is presenting its way that translated into this shape, or now this needs to be longer, this needs to be smoother, this needs, this line here, this needs to be this color. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, you can see the progression, and how I mentioned it's in the ugly phase now. Like it's part of the process. So yeah, it's very, very familiar. Very familiar.
Do you see that it looks like it's reaching out to him though? Can you see that feeling? Like it feels like the arm is coming towards Jason. I feel like the being is actually reaching towards you. The fact that it's got pink around it is love, like just love energy. But the black void is what a lot of people are scared of. They're scared of those portholes. They're scared of what's in the blackness. And I always say to people, the black is the color of the womb. It's the dark, rich silt soil that you grow the seeds in. And the only reason that the black is scary to you is because you haven't shined your light in it yet. That's all. That's all it is. It's just waiting.
Well, I want to say that Lynda had an experience in her NDE, if you don't mind speaking to that, Lynda, because that's what I think of when I think of the void. I think about Linda's experience where you just feel like embraced in this silky darkness, but you're just embraced, and I mean, you speak to it, Lynda. I'm just empathing it.
Yeah, it was darker than dark. I cannot express how dark it was. There was no light at all. And yet there was this essence of energy that even though there was no light, it was light, and it was everywhere. And it was outside of me, it was in me, it was me, it was all encompassing, and it was love beyond any words that we could possibly try to describe. And I called it the waiting room. It was, for me, it was just this pure essence of the energy that we are. And in fact, moving forward, if I had chosen to continue on, it's almost like that was, to me, more symbolic of what we really truly are. And that the next phase was like, okay, that next phase where people go to is like another place like here, only better. Right? So heaven that we talk about is another state of being. But for me, that essence of that darkness, that void of pure energetic love, felt closer to home to me than even if we were to move on, if I had moved forward. So I don't know how that feels for people, but that was my experience.
And I like to connect that with what Elsa was saying about the rich soil, where it's a fertile, anything could happen there. Like it's just so embracing.
So I'm going to jump on the word where Lynda said reality, real. What's real, right? Okay, so this is the other messages I've had on my walk this morning. So I'm out in nature walking with Richard, and Richard said, what's the difference between a memory and remote viewing? I said, oh, that's a good one. And he said, describe it. And so I described it to him and said, so what's the difference between a dream? And he just said, describe it. And I said, I want to play a game with you. Katman's drinking a drink. I want you to, this is it. I want to show an experiment. Okay. So you made that drink, whatever, if it's coffee or tea. I want you to say the whole process, like 10 steps that you had to do to make the coffee or tea. And I just want to, I'll butt in, but you keep telling the process. So I felt this would be a really good example. Ready?
Okay. Are there prizes at the end? And how do I know if I've won?
There's gifts at the end, and
okay.
I will share them.
Okay. Okay. So to make this coffee, I had to grind the coffee.
Memory.
I had to put the coffee into a
Memory.
paper.
Memory.
I had to put the water into the the coffee maker thing machine, and hit the red button. I let the water come through. I let it pour. And get the honey and the brown sugar and the other things that I have to put in there to make it yummy. Coconut oil and the milk and yeah, stir it all up.
So now you're drinking that.
Mm-hmm.
So is that real or is that a memory?
I'm drinking a memory.
Exactly. So I'm attempting, this is how I explain things to the kids. We do little games like this. It also helps really explain it to myself. Really, that's probably what it's more about, is that reality or reality is real and it's litter. Now, the word litter, you just think, oh, that's just awful. That's rubbish, litter. But litter means actually the origin word of it means to reuse. So you have the real and then you're reusing it, the real, and you're reusing it. So what is reality and what is real? So people say, well, how do you know what you remote viewed is real? And I said, but how do I know what I just did a minute ago is real or not real? Because it's a memory, right? It's just a feeling now that's gone. And so again, it comes back to our responsibility, how healthy we are, how clean our chakras are, how calm we are, how much rest we've had, how much hydration we have. Then we can take the information that we're having around us, the prevent is what we class reality, and you collect the messages from it. And then you incorporate that into your practice for your day to day, and you become a responsibility of your ownership. So I keep bringing the simplicity back to it because spirituality has become really complicated. And I'm so not complicated. Our favorite designer that we love is Miles van der Rohe, and he would do the most simplest architecture and designs in his furniture and buildings, and he would make it look so simple. But the way he made it simple was by hiding things like using reflections and to do the simplest things in life. Like you see, this morning I saw someone where they were doing ballet. And you just look at those ballet dancers and you feel like you can get off your chair and go and do ballet. Of course, you are never going to be as elegant as they are because they practice. They practice every single movement in their hands for days and hours and hours. And this is where it comes back to this spiritual practice is it's in our day to day. It's not when you're just in meditation or at the church or at some sacred site. It's actually they're wanting us. We're here on earth. Every breath we literally take, they want that to be your practice. And that's what you see these great gurus and monks do. They attempt in their daily day to rituals to embody that in them. And I'm not saying to be like a monk, but I'm saying when you're brushing your teeth, enjoy the water coming out the tap and the smell of the toothpaste and the bubbles and the foam. Enjoy all the feelings, become sensitive, because we're told not to be sensitive. And if you told an animal not to be sensitive in the wild, it would die. So sorry, I get on rants.
No, I love it.
What
How you feeling, Lynda?
Yeah, what you're describing when I tell people that I'm trying to walk in grace, that I'm walking in grace, that's what I mean, is walking in presence and appreciation. And appreciation for whether it's hard, something hard that we're going through, difficult, and appreciation for the beauty. And sometimes just the appreciation for being. But yeah, being that presence. I agree. I'm going to step away really quickly because my battery is running low.
Whoops,
I haven't plugged
noops.
my computer, and so I'll be right back.
Thank you, Lynda. Mr. Jason, did you have any reflections at this juncture? Conjunction, junction? What's your function?
I'm processing.
Okay.
And I had a question. It was on the tip of my tongue, and now it's gone.
That's okay.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
It'll dance back around. Yeah, I mean, I feel like one of the things I want to hone in on this, this path, this magical path has been made so difficult. What my celestials have shown me time and again is that it's the path of self-love, it's the path of self-grace, it's the path of self-forgiveness, and it's the path of self-generosity. And in showing up for yourself in these ways, it's part and parcel in terms of how you show up for others. And when we do things that make us uncomfortable, but we're being called to do, like your journey, Elsa, was not comfortable, but it kept happening and it kept becoming more and more undeniable. And if you're willing to surrender into the journey, it's going to make you really uncomfortable and happy. Like there's a genuine happiness that comes from having said, okay, I guess I am crazy and I'm just going to go with it. And we're going to have this experience. I'm no longer going to divide myself against it. I'm just going to keep, going. Like that thing you said, Jason, I'm asking myself, am I crazy or is it really happening? And because there's discernment involved and you can verify things. I mean, my conversation with Elsa just verified things in my life before, then we talked a couple of weeks back. And so I think having these qualities of personal disclosure makes the path to surrendering to, your celestial aspect, your higher self, whatever you want to call that, your plasma body self. Like how you experience that is entirely your gift, and the universe is going to unfold it with you. And on that, Ms. Elsa, I wanted to move to a question. I think this is talking about the plasma body because Cat Weeks, I hope you are watching, Missy, because I got your question here. So Kat asks, please ask Elsa to share more about her experience on the ship with Neff and their Oversoul in 2017 when they were there for 10 years. But when she returned for only 20 minutes or so had gone by. So now this is an interdimensional merging, I feel like, when I tune into it. But would you lay down the facts for us, Elsa? Because I think this is going to be mind-blowing. Oh, you were muted, my love.
So again, I didn't go into the whole craft thing, and it got uncomfortable for the family because I had changed after the craft night. So
talk us through the whole thing. Just like bring us through, like what was
really,
the craft
you want to hear
night?
the story?
Yeah, and tell us about. Okay, I guess tell us. Give us a synopsis of what, because you told it so many times it feels like. So give us the thumbnail sketch of the night of leading up to it, and then give us your experience connecting with Neff. How is that fair?
Yeah, what's interesting is I went back to the date to write the date in the calendar because we got a new calendar on the computer, so I had to put back in dates so that I could use it for referrals. And I looked back at the date and I read an astrology message that I wrote, and I think it was on the new moon that I saw the craft, but on the full moon it went alienate time, and I was like, oh, you guys, they just mess with me. So I'm going back to that date and reading the astrology, and they were showing me. I just wasn't seeing it back then. So I always have a laugh because I find them very entertaining. They mess with you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they mess with you in a playful manner, and the playful manner I do relate to our inner child. And it's that inner child, if you can reflect back to your first memories of that feeling that you had, your first feelings of that inner child, that might even assist you with connections with things, because it's that playful manner that they like. That playful manner can be if your aura and things aren't right in your body and you don't have the right oils, that can be looked upon as dark as well, because it depends on where you're at, how it will show up. But that's also with how it is when you meet people. So if you're in a grumpy mood, you attract grumpy people around you. It's just the way it happens. If you're in a happy mood, you seem to be out and about and happy people come past you. So this does happen in our reality. So the night of the craft, I used to go walking out in the paddocks. So I'd walk out in the dark paddocks at night. And we went out, and I was in the herd with the horses. And then I noticed, the horses started acting different, like they were scared. So I thought there was a predator. I thought there were wild dogs. Could be a snake. Big snakes where we live. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's a storm, because they started smelling the ground. So I'm watching their signs. I become a horse. I'm in the horse herd. So now I'm a horse, hanging out with the horses, behaving, watching them, watching their movements, how they move their feet. Then they start looking up. Now, horses don't look up. The only time they look up is if our kids have the drones out. That's the only time there's no predator up in the sky for a horse. So they start looking up. So I start looking up. I look up at the stars. I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful night. And then it starts to change. It starts to turn into a mirror. I start seeing the blue veins and I'm going, oh, what am I looking at? Is this electrical storm? So your mind starts going through all it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And then the mirror the stars are moving, but they're all moving together. So that's not normal. I could hear a energy force from it. And then I realized how low the stars were as well. They were very low. So I haven't probably talked about this a lot yet, but if you look up at aircraft, you can see your eyes can, the flight path of planes is 12 kilometers from Earth up. Your eyes can probably see about 2Ks. They can see a bit further at night. This was much lower, because we were in a valley of 200 acres, and this thing filled pretty much the whole, but I could see on the edges of it the stars, and the stars are higher. That's how I knew that there was an edge, because the edge, so it was like one platform of stars have dropped down and the other is higher. So I've never seen anything like it. And
Elsa, you're describing the first UFO I saw. Keep going.
I get goose pimples now. So then I realized that the blackness, so we talk about the blackness before, which is black, it's really black, is moving. It's like a liquid. This is amazing.
It's a what?
Like a black mirror liquid.
Oh.
Like liquid.
Liquid reflection.
And it's moving. And then there's all these veins shooting through it, and it's heading north. And the horses just stayed. I was in the middle of the herd, so the horses are just protecting me, and they keep checking. And then I wake up in my bed. I'm like, what? Now, for me to get outside the house, I have to get a torch, get socks on, put my gumboots on, get outside the door, walk all the way off the deck, walk through a paddock, walk through a barbed wire fence, walk out to the horses. Then to get back in, I have to do the same process and wipe any mud off me as well and get back into bed. I don't remember any of it. Then Richard said, so how did you sleep? I said, oh, I think I had a good sleep. And then I got outside and I walked out, and I'm very particular about putting things away. And I always put my gumboots away because I don't want snakes and spiders to crawl in. And my gumboots were at the door. They weren't put away. And that's how I knew. I was like, there's my gumboots. And I just had instant, it was like my boots. I love my gumboots. Yeah, I love my gumboots. They're my favorite boots. They triggered me to say to Richard, oh, I know what happened. Because that was out of character. And that was the only clue I needed for me to reignite it. And I think that's really cool. I've never really spoken about the gumboots, but it's because it was out of character that I could say to Richard, I actually just had a craft thing happen. And then I told him about it. He said, that was really cool. That's the biggest one I think we've had. And I went, yeah. And then that was it. Then I changed for 3 months. They said that I was like a demon or possessed or something. I didn't smell the same. They didn't call me mom.
Well, it's interesting that like there's this gap of time. You're like, oh, I had a craft experience. Okay, cool. Gap of time didn't talk about how you got back into bed. Like you guys didn't question that part of it at this juncture.
No, did not question it at all.
Now, do you feel, I'm just kind of just skip ahead a chapter and ask you, do you feel that you and Neff switched for a while and that she was in your body and that they just didn't recognize Neff's energy instead of your energy as being the predominant when you came back? Also, I'm sorry, I totally skipped ahead. Let's talk about you being gone. Where were you? What happened? You were on a ship with Nefertiti. I apologize. That was Kat's question. Cat Weeks.
Okay, so I didn't know I was in a craft. So then we went and did kinesiology because Richard said for 3 months we were the family. Yeah, we're in a small farmhouse with 10 of us. So everyone hating mum is not working really well at all. They, I'm like a stranger. They wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't walk past me. No more hugs, nothing. I was like, what is going on? Why don't they like me? Nothing has changed for me, but to them, I was completely different.
Yeah.
And it was starting to make me sad because I'm missing them. I miss my husband. I miss talks, and I don't know what's wrong. So they said, they were really like, they couldn't even call me my name. And I was like, oh, this is tough. So anyway, we went to kinesiology. We worked out that date. And then it was like, that was my acknowledgement and Richard's and then the kids of that craft. So now we are acknowledging that date again. So we're appreciating the gift, I guess. And then they kind of started everything. It was like, that was once we had acknowledged it and we were okay with it, it went to another level.
Okay.
So beings start to present and happenings get bigger and bigger. And it was pretty much like a full-on snowball of every type of entity, I guess, that you want to encounter, each one in different ways. So it was like a training camp or something. And then I met Mary Rodwell, because she's interested in the drawings of the kids. And I was told to connect to her through messages that I got through Dolores Cannon. So she just said, contact Mary. So I sent Mary an email. Mary liked what she read. So we to and froed a bit. And then one day Mary just said, oh, I'd like to actually do a Zoom with you guys. So we did a Zoom. She met the kids and she was fascinated by the drawings, but she didn't know about all the Neph and Achem stuff. So that was just like, whoa, there's something else going on here. She said back then to us, she said, look, your information is crossing over so many, it's ETs, it's spiritual, it's astrology, it's health. I don't know if the world's ready for it yet, because you're asking all these different categories now to come together. And she said, well, we'll see how it prevails. And I like that about Mary, because she's strong.
Yeah.
And so within a few days, the stars told me to make a video. And so I put out the first video, and it starts us sharing videos. Then a month later, Mary asked me if I'd like to do a hypnosis of the craft experience. And she said, do you have any information? I said, well, no, I don't have any information of the craft. So I was really nervous because we got, this Mary Rodwell guru wanting to do a hypnosis. And all I have is what I have. And I didn't even know what hypnosis actually was. I had to Google search it so that I was prepared. And they showed me the words, it's a dream oasis. I went, oh, I like that. I can do this. So I would do my own regressions, by the way. I taught myself how to do them. So it's very similar, but a hypnosis is guided. So you have another antenna or pillar. And, Mary's so experienced. So she just took me in and she just let me go. She said that she didn't have to coach me too much. She just let me go. And the messages I got from the craft was that I was there with Neph and my oversoul. So it was the three of us, and it was the Hollow Trinity, and it was very sacred moment. So the beings that had brought us together had to step back. They weren't allowed to be in our space at all. They had to allow that moment. So whether that was for a year, our time, or they said that we were up there for 10 years human time. So I think that's a way of them describing 10 years worth of moments or experiences. That's how it would feel. They don't deal with time like we deal with time. So they kind of give us tidbits to help us work it out a little bit.
It's a sensation, like a sensation of 10 years of closeness.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And they were not allowed, they were given strict instructions to move back. So I could feel the beings all around us. Then when they realized that the three of us had come together, when we all realized, the Oversoul, myself, this avatar, and the Neph all realized the three of us were together, I could feel the energy pull back. So they weren't downloading or uploading. They weren't allowed to do anything like that. Once that had been acknowledged or complete, then I felt them come back in around, and they would not show me who they were. I could feel them and sense them, but they would not show me who they were. They weren't allowed to. But they I was actually always spinning, by the way. So I thought that was really funny. So I'm in like a gyroscope type of thing. And whenever a fear moment came into me, they would drop me down to show me the horses. So I could drop me down and they would show me the horses, and the horses were still where I had left the craft. So I didn't understand, but I knew that I couldn't see me with the horses.
Okay.
So they really wanted to show me that I was there. To get me into the craft, they like melted me. I have no idea what that means, but they melted me to like I was like gelatine. And once I got over the fear and they calmed me down, so they reassured me I could push my hands through my hands. I showed the kids when we were doing the laundry, you know how you put the two socks together? That's what I could do with my body. I could pull my body over myself and go in and come out and come up and out. So I was completely fluid. They explained to me that I've only really worked this out in the last few weeks, but a clear conduit, they used to say that to me a lot. And I didn't know what a clear conduit was. And now I understand that. Richard said, do you know what a conduit is? A conduit is the protection of energy. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So I obviously, they can come through and it's safe, and then they can leave, but I'm not hanging on to it. So it's just, it flows in, it flows out, flows in, flows out. So it's allowing and it's not controlling.
Yep.
And then what else? So I'm in the craft. Then they started showing me the alignment of planets. So where we're at now. And they showed me that it was a very near miss for where we are now, like how close it was.
What was a near miss? A comet?
The shift to where we are now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So they showed me that how fine it was that we've done this. It was like it's almost like a pat on the back. But they showed me blackness, really black, and not to be scared of the blackness, but it's black. It's a clean slate. That's what they said. Clean slate. It's a clean slate now to create the new way of us to be in this next cycles of where we are.
Yeah.
They showed me then the children with crooked eyes, crooked pupils. And that was tough. That was really hard. They showed me that they're the gifted ones. And that the ones with crooked eyes have the programs turned off instantly. The programs can't be carried by them, 3D programs. And I asked them if there's another way, because it's painful. They said this way is already in progress, which is what's happening in the world. And we had already had experiences with autism and alphabet type diseases around us. So we realized that this was not, this was how they shut the programs off. So the way that a lot of people will awaken is through like these children, through these gifted children. And they are gifted. It's just a lot of people don't understand their gifts yet. That's all. They're gifted in ways that you can't imagine. But they've blocked. They've come in with the programs blocked. It's very clever. The whole thing's a big setup. Big setup.
It really, really is. I want to hop in with Nancy Legit's question here. In terms of when you said you connected on the ship with Neff and your oversoul, what is an oversoul?
Oh, okay. Well, and so as we understand it, an oversoul is someone that comes, and then the energy that comes in and incarnates on that realm or that plane. And so you might have incarnated. Some people you hear they've incarnated, hundreds of times, and then, we've met someone who's only incarnated one time here. So there's all different ways to be here. It's just we don't know them all yet. There's also ones that have been here for, hundreds and thousands of years as well. So they've incarnated here. So when you incarnate here, just because you incarnate here in this form doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you incarnate somewhere else either. That's different. They showed us that we've touched down here twice. So our kids think the whole thing. So we look at it in a playful manner. So our kids will say, well, who's got the oldest oversoul? So our kids will go in and tap into their oversouls and communicate with them. And it's fun. It's they're very playful how they do it, and they will talk to them and find out information that will help them with their arts or with their surfing that day or the chickens, and they'll tap in and ask questions. They also tap in to find out who's the oldest, so that person has more say over that one in the family. So when we go shopping, who gets the biggest chocolate? Oh, they do, because she's older, even though not by age. So they love that, because in our family, Gemma has the eldest daughter is always the boss. So now Gemma's not the eldest in the oversoul. So they love playing with that. It's cute, right? So it's fun. So it's allowing.
It's what I'm tuning into, and I want Jason to hop in here in a second. But also, Jason, you're in the shadows, my friend. I want you to do some light work there on yourself and to illuminate yourself. But if it's easy to do so.
Yeah, I'll try.
What I'm getting, Elsa, is that this is the new thing. I mean, imagine a world full of kids who are like, oh, I'm going to do my mirror work and tune in and talk to my oversoul and get tips for the day. It's what I've learned to do with my, you're muted, love. You got to unmute yourself. It's what I've learned to do with the divining rods, or, it's how I've used, instead of a mirror, I've used the rods to learn how to hone my own energy and be able to feel my energy, not just feel the energy coming in and connecting with me, but feeling my energy connecting with it. And being able to just work with it on a really a visceral energetic level. And I think that what you're doing with your kids is that very same thing. You're empowering them from the word go.
Yeah. Well, again, Richard and I, we didn't want to place any fears on the kids and belief systems, because we learned from, well, Richard knew from really young, but I learned a lot when I met Richard, how I imagined the world. Disney is not the same. It's just not what I thought it was. And it was hard hearing about all the things going on in the world that wasn't for us. But it's like you have to go through that process, the anger and the, why are they doing this to us? And you go through all that. Then you go through the, I can help everyone. That doesn't work, because no one wants to listen to you because they think you're crazy. So it's like we had to see that. It's not that we had to experience it all. We didn't have to go and experience the dark, but we had to see it. There
You have to
are
acknowledge
people
it.
here. Yeah, there
Yeah.
are people here. There's our ground people in here that do have to physically see it. That's their role. That's their mission. But for us, we just had to acknowledge it. Okay, that happened. Okay, you got that. We understood that happened. Okay, from here, now what tools do we have to use? Now we have the children. So the children taught us how to communicate to the oversouls and show us how to be playful with it, not be scared of it. And the more we practiced it, the more it happens. The more we practice it, the more it happens. But with little kids, because they're little, these kids are little when they're doing this. So, and they're fast. So they would be hungry, and then they want to go outside and do something, jump on the trampoline, then they come back in, they talk to the oversoul, then they come and do some food again. And because there's 8 of them, it's relentless. So the practice was just a lot.
You had to constantly surrender and be like, what's now? What is now? You had to really go into the flow. I was just connecting into this information about the Tao yesterday, and how, like, the Tao is about being able to not know, and yet because you were in it, without knowing. And that's what I'm getting, is how you were operating.
Yeah. But it, as a mum, hearing about Neff and Akem's life and the outcome, knowing history, what I have been taught, I go into mum mode. Oh no, look what's going to happen to our family, all that stress as well. So I wouldn't talk about it. So I was in a state of fear and worry. I was not in the way at all. So what happens then? Well, you're in a state of fear and worry. Let's give you more discomfort. So we'll give you this body pain. We'll give you this body pain. And you just get tired of it. You just get to this point and go, really? I'm tired of that now. It's okay. I have to, what can I be here on Gaia? The best thing I can be here on Gaia is the best version of me. So let's step it up. So here I am stepping it up, being the best version of me, and my gums heal. So I say thank you, because my gums are healing. They're going, okay, well, you spoke up. You're doing your thing. You're doing what you're here to do.
It's all connected. I mean, we're just so connected to all of it, and we're so important to all of it. And our agreements and what we've come to do are important. And they're just, whoever's available to pop open and carry this light frequency forward to help others pop open and get reconnected into this I am now moment and that presence, and our celestial families. They are just, the energy is so strong, and they're wanting to do so much clarifying. Speaking of clarifying, Jason, what is your question?
Okay, so you're interacting with these, super smart. I mean, sometimes it's hard to comprehend exactly what they're capable of with their thought process. Like, I don't even know the words to describe it, but they're intelligent, right? And they just so happen to forget to leave your boots where you would normally put them. Do you think that they intentionally left the boots out so it would be the trigger that caused you to have this memory or the remembrance of?
Oh, I love that you said that. Thank you for saying that. So now you're helping me. Oh my gosh, see this painting? It's reaching out to me. So yeah, they are. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
They did. And that's what I keep saying. So if everyone knew how anal I was about putting things away, because I love this Miles van der Rohe designer, everyone comes to our house and goes, you don't look like you have 8 kids. Where's all the toys? Where's all the mess? Because I put everything away. I mean, one of the biggest arguments Richard and I have all the time is he goes, where's my, where's my, and I go, and then my answer always is it's where it should be. So for my gumboots to be out was very symbolic, like you said, Jason. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a huge point. And so then you have to say, what's happening around me? Did that bird pass me? What's that insect on the ground? That car that just passed me, that person that talked to me in the street. So everything is a setup. Everything has a perfect alignment here with you. So every single thing, every breath you take, every step you take, everything that happens to you through your day, if for one day you could be a witness to yourself and watch what happens to yourself in that one day and read all the signs, become the shamans, become the magi ones. It's like a storybook. One day you could write novels, but if you're on default and you're not appreciating and you're not saying thank you for those gifts, you'll miss the whole thing. And people say to them, my life, it's going so fast. The children, their time, they weren't here for very long. That's because you've been living on default. When you live with how we're speaking in appreciation and acknowledging all these gifts around you, time increases a lot. Like last year for us feels like 20 years ago. How do you explain that? So is that like the craft thing again and how they are with time?
Well, go ahead, Lynda.
So you have said multiple times it's a setup. Who's setting it up?
Oh, wow. This was one thing that the kids bring up is, Mum, this message has been waiting a long time. I said, what do you mean? They said, this message has been in escrow, I think they call it, or it's been in a hold.
Escrow?
Yeah, for you to collect. How old is that message been there? How many years, human years, has that been waiting for you? You go, wow, when you start to think, like now things become really magical, right? So you think, how long has that been? So I'm going to use Jason's drawing again. How long has that vision been in Jason's head for him to collect and draw? Because he might have had that vision a year ago and then now to start drawing it. So then you have that process. Then you have it. Who are they? Are they us ahead of us? Who are they? And why this whole process? Why this forgetting and having to awaken? What's in it? What's the information that we're collecting from this? And the last few weeks we've been in a death porthole with our beautiful dog, the Dalmatian that passed. And this death porthole has been held open for 15 weeks. Now, this death porthole was amazing because it showed me her will to live. Her will was just absolutely incredible. Now, that will is inside all of us. Now, this was really interesting because she actually told me the time she's going to pass. And it was a setup because it was on the 5th of the 2nd of the 5th. So I've written the numbers down. I can't remember the date, but she also told me it was 5 to 5. And I was like, oh, so this is at 1:30 in the morning and I'm just holding her paw, and I put some candles on it because I thought if she's going to pass at 5 to 5, which is AM at dawn. No, she went all day, kept breathing all day till 4:55 PM. Her breath really started to change. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is the end. That went for half an hour till 5:25. So she did 4:55 and then 5:25. Her name, the dog's name is Double, by the way. So you can't make this stuff up.
Right.
Yeah, so but at 4:55, her pulse, her eye, and her heartbeat stopped. But she kept breathing till 5 to 5. Now, I don't understand everything medical, and I don't claim to, but I know her heart was not beating, and I know she had no pulse. And people will say, oh, that's spasms, that's twitches. So then they, 3D it, they normalize it. She was breathing. And you know what that taught me? That it's about the breath. It's about our breath here. So we're water containers holding the water intelligence, the Akashic records, we believe. So we're water containers holding the Akashic records, and then it's about how we breathe it in. And I was like, wow, this is huge.
Wow.
Because then the kid said to me, well, Mum, how does it work when you're in a womb? Because you're breathing water. And I was like, whoa, hang on a second. What did you just say? We're breathing water. And so many people have connections with Lemuria and Atlantis. So yes, we breathe through the umbilical cord. But we don't have gills, so we're breathing through our center. What's behind the center, which is our belly button, which they call the center. If you look up the root words of it's called umbilical or something. That's the name of the belly button. It means center. If you look up behind what organs behind the center are, it's your spleen and your digestive tract. That's our center. And that's where we get our gut feelings from. And I didn't realize, but the spleen is just behind the rib cage of the lungs. I was like, so is that her will making her lungs breathe? And she took it right to that time, like Jason said with the gumboots, this is not random. This is a setup. This is to show me, to show others this amazingness of this porthole of death. And the porthole of death is similar to how Jason's drawings are. It's just a porthole. It's where we come into the ship, mothership, and we leave. But we're eternal. It's not the over. We go through that Jason porthole back there. Sorry, it can get really deep. I try not to get too emotional. I try and keep things light so it's easy to interpret, but it does go a lot deeper.
We don't do deep and emotional on the show. We're very light. We like to keep things very light and brisk. I wanted to talk about Gigi and her artwork because, well, it's also one of the questions with one of our members. So I really want to honor that. It asked in our Facebook group. So Monik talks about Gigi's drawings, and Catherine asks, my question is, what do the ETs do when they visit? So I'm just going to grab the screen for everyone's viewing pleasure. And I'm going to show you if you would maybe give us a little tour in your own fashion. Here are the three beings in question.
So you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first being on the left is Asha, and Asha literally ushers in other beings who have not been here on Gaia before. When she first came through, we thought we were doing something wrong with her because we had a sharp pain in our left side and our piercing in our ear. And she could only come in short spurts because we couldn't literally handle her energy. She is, not only does she usher beings into our realm here, she collects their codes as they come through. So now you're starting to realize how ancient and wise she is. Coming into Earth, she showed us that when you come into Earth, it's tricky for them too. It's not easy. It's hard and it hurts them sometimes, and it can be very disorientating for them. And she gave us an example and she actually sent us on a mission and asked us to go onto a hilltop for 3 mornings, very early, before dawn, and just be there basically. And it was like we were, I don't know if we were grounding or opening a gateway or a porthole. It wasn't that we were opening it. It was like she was asking for our support. And so we did it. And on day 3 of us doing this, it rained every day. And on day 3 of us doing it, a huge white, upside down triangle appeared over some amazing mountains. And it was like pointing. So whenever Asha comes through, we always understand that she's supporting a huge amount of beings coming through as well. Sometimes it's only a few coming through, but sometimes there's a lot. I mean, that's the other thing that's amazing is how many there are. Like you always see these that, I mean, you always feel like there was only 5, but we get that there's more than the stars.
Mm-hmm.
The next being has taken a while to unfold. This being is plasma, and this being came through a gentleman that interviewed us. His name's Mr. Gray. We actually had Gigi had drawn him a year prior. What was interesting with this being, as he's presented with a few people that we've had interviews with or seen interviews on, and this plasma being came through also with the death porthole of the dog as well. So the plasma being is showing us that there's more in the intelligence doesn't just happen in beings, but it also happens in dust. And that one's still finding tricky to understand, but I'm getting better with it.
Well, I think that what I get is that, because he's a plasma being, you said?
Yeah.
Because everything comes from the stars. So we are all stardust. So everything is encoded from the heart of a star. Everything, the stars create everything. That was the thing that I learned a couple months back that blew my mind. It was like, oh my God, that's what they mean. When we're all stardust, we literally come from the stars. It's not a metaphor.
Yeah, they're not kidding. Again, when they come through, they all have their unique way of coming through. So sometimes they'll just have that little message and then it rests. And like with this plasma being, it rested for 1 year. Then we got a little bit more information because we had evolved enough to handle the information. And then we get a bit more information. Sometimes we only get one spurt of information and then that's enough. What we will find happening, which is the new stage that our family are about to encounter with audiences, is that we will start sharing all the beings, and what will happen then is it will start triggering and it will start connecting with other people, and they will tap into these beings and they will share information, or it's expansion. That's what it is. It's expansion. So we'll share what information we have, and then others will expand from that. And that's the next stage that we're at. We're right there, right there. The next being is House, who I'm very grateful for. House came through just before my back was broken. House is classed, us humans class as a reptilian. Sorry, I'm getting mesmerized by House staring at me.
He is mesmerizing, it's true.
Yeah, he's so House, they put imprints on my back, And at first I got a pyramid sign, so Delta. And then 2 weeks later, I got kicked in the back by a yearling horse and it broke my back. And so then I had a C. So I had Delta C. So constant change was the message. And I was like, you didn't have to imprint it in me. You didn't have to break my back. But of course, you don't get to choose how you have it happen. It just happens to you. So you work through the experience. So I'm in a broken back situation. I'm in a lot of pain. I can't move my body. I can only move my eyeballs. So now I'm in the state that my dog was in. I can't even really cry. And when I did make a noise, it was a scream of terror. And for about 24 hours, Richard let me be in pain. Not because he wanted to, but he just knew that he had to. I stayed in pain, and then he came in because I was in the lounge room on the mattress on the floor, and I was just having sweats, just sweating. And I looked at him and he said to me, okay, you've had 24 hours of pain. Are you ready now to turn it off and put into practice everything you've learned? Instantly, the pain turned off. It was that instant. It was like, and I could feel the brokenness in my body. I couldn't move my body, but the pain had stopped. And it was House that made me understand that the pain is, your body goes to a certain pain point, and then your body goes into a protection mode. It turns it off. So you can't feel any more pain from there. What happens from that point is your mind kicks in. And the mind is all the programs that we've had from our parents, schooling, religion, over the years, accumulated programs of pain and fear and death. And from that point is the accumulated pain, the unnecessary pain. And it's the spoken pain. It's the pain that we just... And it's excruciating because you think that it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And it sends you into the future of pain. And it's really unnecessary, but we as humans do fall in love with our illnesses. So if we can bring it back to just purely what it is, the body pain, you can heal from that spot. You cannot heal from up here pain. And that up here pain is projected pain. It's not pain, it's perceived pain. It's not pain that's in the present. So your pain that you're projecting, you cannot heal from there. So you stay in that state. And it's so hard as a human to watch other humans and other beings in pain, but we do it to ourselves. If we can come back to this point, then you can heal super fast. Now, everyone said that I should go and have an operation on my back. Everyone. But we worked out that we could do this. So we ate herbs, we rested, we drank water, had my family at home to support me. It was very similar to double for 3 months. I couldn't really move. And then we had rehabilitation, so step by step, and I learned how to walk again. So within 3 months, I'm walking again. If I had an operation, I still probably would not be walking. I know it. But that being showed me, you can, once you're in that level of only body pain, not mind pain, when you're in that level of body pain, he showed me then how you can clean your atoms in your body. And he would show me the devices that would go around your body. So it's like a med bed type of scenario, and you make it go around your body and you clean all your atoms. So those areas where the blood has gotten stale and protective, that needs to get cleaned up so that it can start releasing the energy through again, because especially on the spine. So he would show me, and sometimes it would come through every hour. It's time to do it again, time to do it again. So we'd go through the whole process, taking his
Wow.
that little device. I think it's on his head or his chest. I can't remember. But
It's on his
that-
head. I can share it again.
yeah, so that little device would spin like a rainbow orb around all your atoms. So when I would see him, it would illuminate, and I could feel every atom. And now, so he's now teaching me how to speak to every single atom in my body. How is this possible? I'm a fashion photographer with 8 kids. How is this possible? So if I can do it.
Well, and I love, and he's available to, is he available for hire? I mean, if people are like, oh, I want to reach out to and work with him, is he available?
Yeah. One thing he did show us is, which I thought again was very playful, before he came through, this is before the back thing happened, he came through as reptilian, and he actually offended Gigi when he came through. He came through on her phone. Her phone was switched off, and he came through, and it was a song called I'm a Reptilian, I'm a Reptilian. And Gigi she gets mad at some of the beings, and she got really mad because she does not like that song. She's never heard it before, and she didn't like how it just came in on her device and in her space. But again, they show up how they show up.
Yep.
And they show up the best way that they can. Anyway, she turned the phone off. It did it again. And she said, Mom, how is this possible? I don't even have any phone battery, and he's turning it on. And anyway, he came through as a reptilian, but he wanted to show remorse. So he showed the kids a game. And the game was similar to the OVERSOUL connection, work out how much reptilian is in us. And he did that as a reassurance to not be afraid of his reptilianness. And 2 or 3 family members had actually more percentage of reptilian in them than he did. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. So now he's giving us an understanding of our makeup, of how we got here. So some of the information that comes from these beings, like they'll send the kids out to map them what area they came through the stars in. It's very cool. It's very educational. It's like they're homeschooling our kids. Actually, they are. They're homeschooling our kids. I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah, that's what Miss Mary Rodwell would raise her glass to that one. Nancy Legit asks, what did she mean that it hurts the first being for us to come through? I don't think that's quite what you said. I think you're saying you're helping the first being helps people come through because it does hurt. It can hurt. Is that what you were saying?
Well, okay, so don't look at them as beings, just look at everything as frequencies. So now you've got all these different radio stations. And sometimes when you turn on to one radio station, it comes through really loud and scratchy and hurts your ears. That's that being. Then another one comes through and it's classical music. It's easy to understand. We're used to it. That's easy. Then another one comes through and it's heavy metal and it's thrashing and it's screeching guitars and you're not comfortable with that music, but they come through that way. So then you got another one that comes through and it's like kids music and it's annoying. Because you're an adult and you don't want to hear kids music. It's playful nursery rhymes or something. I'm giving it an example as it is what it is. It comes through as it is. And we're the ones that place all the labels and everything on it. You don't need to do that. Just go in and see the message for what it is. Don't labelize it or idolize it or worship it too much. Just go in, see the message for you. And like Eckhart Tolle says, sit with it. Does it resonate for me? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Sit with it. If you're still unsure, let it go and see if it comes back to you. And that's what happens for us. A lot of these beings, you push them aside and they just go, no. And they push them aside. And some of them, like with Gigi, she says they push in to be drawn. Like she'll be drawing someone else and someone else will push in line as in it's this alignment has come through. This one has to come through first now, or it's very, so I'll come in and say to Gigi, oh, I thought you were drawing that one. She goes, this one won't leave me alone. Obviously something's happened, a shift's happened, or because it's all about alignments of how we are and with the stars as well. It's not just the stars alignments, it's our alignments. Because like you said, we're those star energy.
We are star beings, and it's a relationship. I mean, this whole thing is a relationship. It is not top down. It's a self-discovery that we are in all things, and all things are trying to reach out and connect with us. I wanted to talk about art. We've got 12 more minutes with you, Miss Elsa, and I wanted to talk about art and ascension. And I would like to say that on Jason's behalf, Jason has introduced so many beings that I have never seen before. I would love for you two kids to maybe connect, and Jason can show you his portfolio of ETs that I was like, never heard of it, never seen it, but it's coming through and it has a frequency, it has a like you can connect to it because he's channeled it well, he's really embodied it. And I'm wondering if you would talk to us about your experience of art and what we call ascension, which is this, you can call it God remembering itself, or you can call it ascension, or you can call it, chicken noodle soup. Which brings us to Warhol, chicken noodle soup. There, it's a full journey right there. Campbell's soup.
So my connection to what art is, as in the creativity of it.
Yeah, and like how ascension shows up, because I feel like whenever I'm doing sessions with people, the celestials are just like what I call the celestials are like, getting people into their body, into creativity. It's like this essential aspect of themselves that so many people have dwarfed. And my experience of it is that they're just hungry for people to express their creativity. And what is your experience? I mean, you're a photographer, but you're much more than that. The pictures that came out for you for this show, those were so channeled. It was just like the images I was drawn to and how I was trying to put them together was completely of its own design. And so you bring in this energy with you. And so there's something about you and art and ascension that I know is important.
So Neff has been known for being the beauty one has come, but she laughs as I do, because it's not about that. It's about us seeing the beauty in others, and that's what she was about, or is about. And that's what my job is too. That was literally my profession, is I see beauty in others. So when I talk to other people, I see their highest potential. I see their inner child. I see a playfulness with them, and I feel excited to create with them. Now, before science and before schooling, there was sorcerers and witches and magicians. There was the three wise men who were known as the three Magis. How? They didn't know where they were going. They did not know where they were going. They were guided by a star. Are you seeing the similarity? Like the stars told me to do a video of Mary, make a video. Those videos out were never intended for the public. They were just a Zoom. And a lot of people say to us, the quality is so poor. I say, well, it doesn't matter. They want it to be real. It's not a Hollywood production. This is real. This has really happened for these people. So show it as it is. So the stars keep guiding us. So the stars have guided many. You hear of many people who have made movies and scripts, and they say that they were channeled. I think Harry Potter, that lady said hers were channeled. Star Wars. I mean, it's been in our faces all along.
Yes.
All of this has been in along, to be the creative ones, the magi ones. So
yes,
again, come back to that responsibility of your ownership, and the creativity should just flow. And if you're having a pause moment, or we call it stalemate moment. Maybe you just have to go and give a little gift somewhere, or appreciate something a little bit more, or maybe you've missed something. And if things don't feel like they're going your way, or you can't finish the artwork, which happens to Gigi a lot, she will ask the stars, she will ask the drawing, she'll ask herself, and then she sits with it and lets it evolve. And then it just all seems to just work. It just seems to work out. But we've been told that unless you control it, unless you put it here, unless you work hard, unless you do this, it's not going to work. But none of that says allowing to me. None of it. And so now we have to undo what we have been taught. And so now we have to reverse the spin. And to reverse a spin that's spinning one direction, I heard Abraham Esther speak of this. She said it's like a bus going down a hill or something, a car going down a hill. You can't stop the momentum. So how do you stop the momentum if it's going that way? Just do something small. It's the little stuff, because you can accept the little miracles. Let me tell you, we've had big miracles happen to us too, really big ones. So unbelievable stuff, really unbelievable. So if that can happen to me, then it can happen to you. But you have to allow the small first. And people go, well, that's silly. That's childlike. And I go, yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And then you have to question that. Who's that entity saying the judgment? So you're judging this, really? So where's that coming from? Who's that person saying that judgment? So
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think holding that person that's saying the judgment in that vortex of love that's calling you in, like that person, you don't discard that person that's saying that. You bring them into this vortex of love that's calling you in, because this person's going to unpack all the places where you chose to disconnect. And they're going to show you all the little kinks and breaks and beliefs and heartaches and all of that stuff, so you can allow it to be swept up in this greater love that's going to set you right and give you back to yourself in ways that you never would have done. The things that I've experienced, I never would have, like, I can't, you don't orchestrate it. Once you're in the flow, you don't orchestrate it. You just ride the flow. And then you're like, oh my God, this is what it's like. And this is available to everybody. And isn't this the greatest hidden mystery that's right in front of our face? And I think that is, the work of you, Neff, and the family is being able to unveil that in a way that's so accessible that it shows up in the everyday. It's not the mystical. It is mystical, but it's the mystical in the everyday. Miss Lynda, were you gonna? Oh, go ahead. No.
I just wanted to say what I heard when you were saying that was when you were talking about who is the voice, and I got the memory. The voice is the memory of all of those past times being brought into the now. And then you come into the decision to believe that or to release that.
So is that voice have more authority than my daughter telling me about the siren that has just given her a crystal that she dived under the water, and the siren told her where the crystal's from? So is the memory more real than the crystal she's holding in her hand? Wow, this is really cool.
Only
Lynda.
if you choose it to.
Yeah. So which one do you choose? So I'm going to go with the siren crystal, because the siren crystal makes me smile. But the sad memory, well, it's had its day. It's had its memory. It's come up again for us. Thank you. But I like the smile. So I love that, what you said, Lynda. That's fantastic, because it helps explain the memory thing of reality for us. What is real and what isn't? How can you judge others because you're really just speaking from something that's been taught, which is a memory? How cool's that? That just sums it all up. That's great.
For yourself,
Yeah.
our judgment of ourselves.
Yeah.
This has been absolutely magical. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So it's more than ever in history as I know it, or more than ever coming up right now, is the best time to take a new path. And they know it. Who are they? Well, they know it. That's why when fear and worry this has been planned, all the fear and worry that's going on around the world at the moment. So if they know, where did they get their info from? They get it from astrology. I know they do. We've been doing this for years. We know that they work around astrology. We know that there'll be more blue sky days just before the full moon, because they want the full-on full moon energy to freak everyone out. It's very clever how they do this. So
Now, this is the nefarious day, just so we know, because there's 2 days that are going on. This day is we'll call them the nefarious day, that has an agenda of that. Let's just enjoy density for as long as we can.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got, who are they? And I don't even know if they're all separate, but anyway, who are they? So they know, so they've created this fear moment for now around the world because they know this huge energy is coming. So no matter how hard your day is, please, if you can, find those moments of specialness in just the simplest things around you and start appreciating, because this is a huge energy for us to take into ourselves and use as a tool to move forward in a huge new way. And they knew this change was coming, and they're just seeing who they can throw off course. That's all. And you can test it. Do one day where you do 10 thank yous to things you wouldn't, and then the next day do nothing and see what happens. See how different each day is. Like, that's how we used to test things out. But if we can take this energy from the stars and use it to enhance us, wow, that's us being a Magi ones. And that feels better to me. It just feels so much better, that being responsible.
Accountable.
Yeah. And I've got little ones. Our kids are going to grow up and meet all you guys.
Yes.
I want them to have fun and meet great people. And I have to do this as a mum, because this is the world we live in.
Well, and you're starting something. I mean, we are at time, so we got to wrap up here momentarily. But I really just want to acknowledge that you've really, you are this Oversoul family that has come in twice to seed a certain culture. There's a cultural tie-in in terms of how to treat the earth, how to treat each other, that you sowed in both incarnations. And you're anchoring it deep in this one, and you're anchoring it in the soils of Australia, but it's going to spider out because it is such a foundational hub, and it's so connected to how things were. So I really want to hold that work that you're doing as a collective in this absolute pristine appreciation sphere of crystalline appreciation, because I can see that your family is going to be working with people in the future in all of this. So with that, I wanted to ask Jason, Lynda, do you have any final questions before we go into wrap up?
I have a quick comment, and this is really about the kids and like them being able to express themselves and play with this energy and play these games. To be honest with you, I feel like that's going to be the norm going forward. The more kids that are coming in that are just open, being born to parents now that are open, like that's going to be the norm. And that's the way that I feel like it probably was in the past, until we all said, nope, as a collective, we're like, we're not going to use these abilities anymore. Right? Like that, we're turning them back on. So I think it's really just kind of a blueprint, but I have thoroughly enjoyed connecting with your energy and hearing your story. And the artwork is beautiful. So compliments to the artist. It's hard putting your stuff out there, especially this kind of stuff, and sharing it. So kudos and great job.
Oh, thank you. I have a question for Jason. Are your legs? My legs are still that funny.
Oh, they've never stopped.
Oh, good, because mine haven't
yeah.
either. So I haven't had that before. So I've actually had them in yoga position, and now on the ground they're still doing it. So I'm gonna have to go for another walk, I think, after this.
I took my shoes off to see if that would help, like trying to ground to the floor of the. Yeah,
my feet are flat on the ground, and there's still something going on. See, again, so now we've acknowledged that, and then we'll sit with it, and then who knows what will come out of that information. Whether nothing comes of it, that's fine, or something interesting will prevail from that. So again, acknowledging all these sensitive feelings. I thank you all for having me. I've had fun. It's hard having to retell the story all the time, because I feel so sorry for the audience. They go, oh, here she comes again. But I mean, it's only been a year, but still a year is a long time to keep listening to this lady. But I always hope that new things come out for everyone when we share.
Yeah, I think it was perfect. I think you're talking to a new audience who maybe have not heard you before, and so to me, I just feel like I feel a groundswell of excitement coming through my legs right now. There's all this appreciation in the vibratory field. Miss Lynda, do you have a final question, thought, reflection, bit of wisdom?
Actually, I just also thank you. Someday I would love to compare more deeply our UFO experience, because you're the only one who's described what I saw, and I've been watching for a long time. So it's like, oh my gosh, everything down to the blackness underneath. Yes. So very excited about that. I think at this point, what I'll do is thank everybody for being here, and for all of the great conversations that we have. Continue to talk about it in our Facebook group. Remember that the links are below on how to get in touch with all of us, including Elsa. And with that, Jason, thank you again for your input. I saw some real similarities in some of the paintings. They felt the same. They really felt the same. And maybe at the energetic level, even style-wise a little bit. So, Elsa, thank you. Kat, thank you. Audience, thank you. Love you guys so much.
All right, I'm going to flip over. Thank you, Miss Lynda. I realize, Miss Elsa, I may not have your links in my this description box, so I'm going to put those in after the show, because Dolores Fossey Brum asked how to reach out to you, and it's spinbeings.com. Yes?
Yes, that's right.
Spinbeings.com. Yep. So whoopsie woo, I'll get that snuck in there and updated here after the show. I was wanted to ask Elsa, before we announce who's our next guest for next week, do you have any final thoughts from your heart to ours in terms of your words of wisdom and insight?
If it just feels tricky, take 3 deep breaths. Just remember your breath, because it's amazing that you're here. It really is. That breath is a will. It comes from somewhere, comes from that stardust that we are talking about. So I know, because I've seen it, that even when the heart stops, that breath is still here. It's amazing. So just take 3 big deep breaths and then go from there.
I like that.
You might need those 3 deep breaths in the next few days. So that's why I suggest you.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy coming through, and there's a lot of energy, but I just want everyone to know that there's a lot of support coming through in that energy. It is there to shake you up, but that shake up is there to also support you. It's not there to knock you down. It's there for you to find your own power within the shake up. And I think we've all gone through that in so many different levels and layers. So thank you, absolutely everybody. I will tell you that next week, Mariah Wheatley is coming back on. I'm so excited because she's the one that with her it was that I discovered the dowsing rods, and we're going to talk about the wee folk. We're going to talk about the fae folk, and they have been showing up in my life in spades lately. So, and you know, Elsa, the toad medicine and the goblin thing, you turned me on to something huge there. I can't tell you, oh my goodness, that'll be in their side talk, but I just want to say that the fae people are here. They're very active. They've got a lot to say, and we need to calm down and listen to them and give them their due space and give them their comeuppance. They've got a lot to teach us. So talking about being ancient but being childlike. These are the beings that can teach us that. So with that, all right, we love you so much. Please take care of yourself. We will see you next week, and we will see you on our Facebook group. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Elsa.
Bye.